a few of my friends have done it and they have received rejections. Many of the things they've required translation and all these things, and I had no idea about it. I showed 10 lakhs. And how did those funds come into your bank account or your sponsor's bank account? Like, how am I supposed to show both my sponsors? Should I show just one? Should I show both of them? They did ask me a few out of the box questions that I was not really prepared for. Sorting out your documentation is very important, and document does take a lot of your time.
So yes, a very warm welcome to our channel once again. Sitting with me is Sara Bhardwaj today, all the way going to Italy with her master's course. बहुत सारी इनसे बातें करनी है, बहुत सारे challenges इनके भी थे. Can two people be your sponsors? क्या आपके दोनों parent आपको sponsor कर सकते हैं? Is a major question. हमसे भी बहुत बार पूछा गया है. ये सॉल्यूशन लेकर आए आज इनको हमने इसीलिए बुलाया बिकॉज शी विल गिव यू द सॉल्यूशन हाउ डिड शी प्रिपेयर ऑल द डॉक्यूमेंट्स एंड एवरीथिंग सो स्टे टिल द एंड ऑफ दिस इंटरव्यू. So yes, a very warm welcome to our channel, Sara.
Hi everyone.
Okay, so to start with, Sara, आपके बारे में थोड़ा बहुत a basic intro about yourself, courses and everything.
Okay, so my full name is Sara Bhardwaj, and I'm going to University of Palermo for my master's in international relations, majoring in international trade, and I've done my bachelor's in Chinese language from Doon University, which is in my state of Uttarakhand. And in the meanwhile, after my graduation, I have been working as a public relations manager, and currently I'm working as a customer experience executive for ConvertWise, which is a part of a Shopify tool agency. So my journey for choosing this particular course started with public relations. And when you're when you're in public relations and when you're constantly going back and forth with different culture people and different kind of agency, multilingual and multicultural, that gives you a little keen interest on how these other cultures and how other universities and how everyone as work when they are in an ecosystem. So that's why I had an inclination towards international trade and international relations.
All right, all right. Well, she was quite clear that she doesn't want me to speak in this interview. I cannot ask why she
No, it's good.
choose this course. So yes, quite clear to our audience. Okay, so बिल्कुल point पर हम बात करें तो सीधा documentation की हम बात करते हैं. Like when I start the
Yeah.
process, सबसे पहले आप किसी consultant के through करवाए या कहीं से भी करवाए, the first thing they will tell you is about documentation. So how did you your
Yeah.
part? How did you do your part for documentation?
I, being very honest, had like a constant guide when I was doing my documentation. I chose Eurodreams from the start only. When this thing clicked in my mind that I want to go for masters and I want to go to Italy for it, then I straight up contacted Eurodreams, and I knew I had to go through a consultancy because when you are doing something alone, a few of my friends have done it and they have received rejection. So I was petrified of it and doing it on my own. So I didn't want to go through the same struggle, putting in all my time and investing everything and then getting a rejection and a loss. I didn't want to suffer that. So I knew, and I have been, I know about Eurodreams for I think for 1 or 2 years. I'm on their Insta pages. I'm on their connected with their students, previous students. I think I don't really remember. They have a YouTube channel as well. In your YouTube channel as well, I've been constantly seeing how the process works, and it is very lengthy. So I didn't want this constant struggle on my mind. And as I'm a working professional, I could not go back and forth about everything. So I chose Eurodreams for the documentation process as well, for my cover letter, for my sponsor letter, for the ITRs, and what else is required. The main thing was HRD and apostille thing, and sorting out the scholarship document. So this was also, I just sent out my documents and whatever they gave me a list that these are the documents that is required from our side that you have to send. I just sent them the documents and they took care of everything. So from my side, I have like a zero headache when I was going through the process.
Wow, actually, guidance was important for you because you cannot manage two,
Very
three things
important.
at a time.
Not at all. And especially if you're going for an international, if you're going somewhere abroad, and if you're going for an international kind of thing, you need constant guidance and constant support because this is many of the things they require translation and all these things. And I had no idea about it. So I really needed all this help, and it was there.
Oh, wow. Great, great, great to hear that. ओके, अब आपने डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में खुद बोला था, एक कवर लेटर वाज द पार्ट। नाउ एवरीथिंग कम्स टू योर कवर लेटर व्हेन इट कम्स टू योर वीजा, एंड बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट वहां
Yeah.
गलती करते हैं एंड थिंग्स गो रॉन्ग फॉर देम। सो व्हाट आर योर टिप्स, और आपने कैसे बनाया, व्हाट वाज योर फाइनल ड्राफ्ट ऑफ द कवर लेटर, आपका कैसा रहा ये प्रोसेस?
So the I started making my cover letter 1 month before I actually applied for my visa, like my visa appointment. I started making it a month before that. And there was a lot of back and forth with the with my counselor. She sent me 4 to 5 sample cover letters to go through them and how to make one. And she didn't send me some random cover letters. They were of the students that had already
Yeah.
received their visa acceptance. So that was very essential. So I knew that, okay, these are the ones, these are not just some random AI generated or something that is up from Google and all. I knew that these are the students who have actually received their visa acceptance, and I am going with the positive mindset. So I went through all those cover letters. I prepared one draft. I sent it to the counselor. She mentioned that, okay, these are the things that should not be there, these are the things that should be there. So there were, I think, 7 to 8 to and fro conversation of what should be there and what should not be there. And then the final cover letter was perfectly ready.
Wow, it is a thorough process. You accept it or not, but as a student, you got to accept cover letter में time लगने वाला है. You got to invest a lot of
Yes,
time, a lot of efforts to make sure that you have a cover letter worth representing to the embassy, right?
yes, exactly. And it should be very informative as well. There should not be any missing links in it, and there should not be any misinformation that in one thing there's something else, and in your cover letter something else is mentioned. So there needs to be a proofreader as well. So my counselor was also my proofreader. She was going through, okay, this is a grammatical error, or this line should not be there. This is unnecessary, and this you should emphasize on these points of how your cover letter can be strong. So she mentioned all these points, and that's why there was so much to and fro.
Wow, great, great. No, because that part is really important if you are going through this process of cover letter. But yes, as she has
Yeah.
also mentioned, और मैं आप बहुत बार वीडियोस में भी ये बात बोल चुके हैं, it is important that you stay relevant. आपके दो डॉक्यूमेंट में दो बातें आपको नहीं करना है. If you are saying something in front of me, then it should also be written in your document somewhere. That is very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
ओके, ग्रेट ग्रेट। मूविंग अहेड, ये आपका वीजा इंटरव्यू के लिए आपने कवर लेटर बनाया। देन अबाउट योर स्पॉन्सर डिटेल, आपने कितना अमाउंट शो किया, हाउ डिड यू अरेंज दोस फंड एंड हू स्पॉन्सर्ड यू थ्रू आउट द प्रोसेस?
For my sponsor details, I have given both my parents. My mother is a medical shop owner and my father is a property dealer. So I showed both of them because one had like a constant income flow and one had a stagnant income flow. So that's what I showed, that okay, the fund is coming from this person, and for further expenses and everything else, this person will be sponsoring me. So that's how I did it. The funds were arranged after like a sale of a property, and that's how in my sponsor letter and in my cover letter, both in both the places I have mentioned that detail as well, that how are the funds collected. So this is another essential point that was mentioned by my counselor, and I read a few other cover letters as well. Those students had mentioned where they are arranging the funds from. It was not like, oh, I showed 10 lakhs 10 lakhs in my sponsor details, and that was not enough. Many students showed that if you are showing 10 lakhs of fund, then how are you arranging the funds, and how did those funds come into your bank account or your sponsor's bank account? This I found that this information is also very essential, and many students mention it, and I did it as well. So I showed that, okay, we sold a property, and that's how we gained the funds, and this has been in his bank account for this much time, and that's how he'll be funding me. So I showed all these details in my cover letter, my sponsor letter, everywhere.
Oh wow, no, that's a kind of a, responsibility that one should take of the process, and that's the kind of work that one needs to put in. Your everything was so clear. That is really a good point. Appreciation for you, because the process requires you to prepare a lot, and transparency is important,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Transparency is completely important.
वाह वाह। ओके, जब आप ये इतनी प्रोसेस का आपको नॉलेज है, आप इतना समझ रहे हैं, सो व्हाट इज दैट वन थिंग दैट यू वुड लाइक टू हाईलाइट अबाउट योर प्रोसेस? मनीष, मे बी दिस वाज द यूनिक थिंग, और दिस वाज द थिंग दैट मेड मी डू एन एक्स्ट्रा वर्क इन माय प्रोसेस। इफ आई आस्क यू, व्हाट वुड दैट बी?
Okay, I was little confused about the sponsor details. Like, how am I supposed to show both my sponsors? Should I show just one? Should I show both of them? Or should I show the one who is having like a regular flow of income? So I had
Mhm.
a communication with my counselor. She guided that it's rather than going back and forth about this thing, then you can show both your sponsors and give all the details. I thought it would be too much, but I think that's what made my file more application more stronger, that I was giving them so much details about everything. So I think one should prepare this thing beforehand, that your sponsor details and the funding that you are showing, these are sorted even before you're applying for your visa. So these stay in contact with your counselor guidance, and if you're doing it on your own, then keep this thing, at least the sponsor details, sorted from beforehand.
Wow, because actually वो जब आपको रिजेक्शन आते हैं तो it is quite written in those rejection reasons that your sponsor details were not clear, or maybe the fund you have shown
Yeah.
is not clear. So to avoid that part, it
Yeah.
is really important that you keep a eye on how you are sponsoring, what are the details that you will include, and how thoroughly you can explain your process to the person who is sitting in front of you for the visa part. Wow, absolutely great, Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving ahead, another thing that is important for me is कि जिस भी आप कोर्स के लिए जाते हैं, they ask you certain question related to course too. So before coming directly to
Yeah.
the visa question, what were the things that you prepared about your course? क्योंकि कुछ तो आपने सोचा होगा that I'll speak this or that about my course.
So when I applied for the University of Palermo, I was already interested in my course. And before my visa interview and all, I already researched about, okay, this is my course, what all they are teaching, what are the subjects and everything. So I was already into the course and I was already very curious about it. So the visa interview part like went well for me. They just asked, okay, what course you're going for? Told them international relations. They asked, okay, are you majoring in something? I told them that. Then they asked, okay, if you're going for international relation, tell us what new is going in the world of international relations,
Wow.
like what is going on between India and Sri Lanka, and what is going on between India and Maldives. They did ask me a few out of the box questions that I was not really prepared for, but thank God that I researched about my course and my all these things properly, that I was able to answer them.
Oh wow, because that is important क्योंकि they might suddenly ask you, हम मैं आपको एक टिप भी दे देता हूँ एज ए स्टूडेंट, they might suddenly ask you कि आपके कोर्स में आगे क्या होने वाला है, आपका कोर्स होता
Yeah.
कैसा है, किस तरह की चीजें आपसे करवाई जाती है, क्या प्रैक्टिकल होता है, कितना थ्योरी होता है। इसीलिए हम बोलते हैं आपका जो स्टडी प्लान है एक बार उसे चेकआउट करिए, आफ्टर दैट गो फॉर द कोर्स और सॉरी गो फॉर द इंटरव्यू ऑफ योर वीजा। ये बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन वाज अबाउट व्हाट वर द क्वेश्चंस दैट दे आस्क्ड एंड यू ऑलरेडी आंसर्ड इट, मे बी शी इज इन लिटिल हरी गाइस। Okay, then next thing that I would ask about your visa is what about the preparation tips, because nothing goes harder for me than a sitting in an interview and visa interview where everything will be decided is a tough task for me. So what were the things that you did?
For interview, I was given a questionnaire by my counselor herself. She gave me I think 15 to 20 list of questions that will be asked for the visa interview. And that really helped me out a lot, because when you think that, okay, you have to go for an visa interview, you just completely go blank. Okay, where do I have to start from? So having that questionnaire, and she prepared that questionnaire from the questions that were asked by to the students previously, to a question to her student. So we I knew that these are not just some random questions coming out of Google. These are the questions that were actually asked to the students during their visa interview. So I prepared those that questionnaire, and that was pretty much it. I didn't have to prepare anything out of the box. Everything was in the questionnaire, and I wrote down my answers for whatever question was asked, and I just presented them.
Wow. So according to you, preparation is important, and those 25 questions
Very
were
important.
really something that you can really rely on if you are going for the interview, right?
Yeah, I didn't really have to prepare anything from outside. Everything was in the questionnaire, and whatever I was asked in the visa interview was also in those questions.
Oh wow, great. Actually, questions भी फिर वही आए तो it is really a good part for you. Now moving
Yeah.
ahead, आपको भी 8 से 10 महीने लगे होंगे इस प्रोसेस को करवाने में। As everyone knows, बहुत लंबी प्रोसेस है। You have lived your process throughout from application to visa. Now, according to you, what were the challenges that you faced and how did you tackle them? If I'm a new student, what I need to do in that part? Please guide.
Sorting out your documentation is very important because for many universities you require different kinds of documents. So for my okay, I was pretty easy on these sides. I didn't really face any problems. Being very honest, I didn't face any problem because for the whole documentation thing, my counselor was taking care of it. She was just like, okay, Sarah, we need these documents, these documents, and I just used to simply arrange them. And many a times she used to guide, okay, this is how you can arrange these documents as well. She used to go out of her way for those things as well. So being very honest, I didn't face any issue with documentation. But yes, if someone is doing on their own and if someone is starting out, document needs to be perfect, and document does take a lot of your time.
Yes, absolutely. You said the right thing. Documentation is the longest part or the longest process throughout your work for your visa till now. Okay, the next thing is about the process itself. When did you apply for your visa and कितने दिन में आपका visa आ गया then?
I applied on 7th and I received it within 2 weeks.
Oh wow, 10 to 15
Exact two
days.
weeks, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
exact 2 weeks I received
nice,
it
nice,
in.
nice. Actually, that's a good part because some students take a very long time and still doesn't get
Yeah.
response from the embassy or consulate. That is a good part for you. Okay, moving ahead. One very good question that I will ask from point of view of a student. For an example, if you had the knowledge that you have now, और यार जितना आपके पास अभी knowledge है उससे थोड़ा कम भी होता, so what do you feel throughout this process? Do you really need a consultant for the process, or are you able to do it on your own? Your opinion.
Even after receiving my visa, I feel like I cannot, if someone asks me to do it again, I will still not do it again because my counselor really helped me and guided with everything. If someone comes to me, if some new student even comes to me and says, okay, Sarah, you have received your visa, please help me out, I won't be able to. Because because I have done a documentation and I have done a process for one particular university. I don't know how other universities work and how the documentation for other universities work. I don't know. I don't really know that. So I would suggest anyone who is going for like study thing or even work thing, whatever you're going for, go through a counselor. It takes a big chunk of headache from your side and it really reduces the workload on you. And they are someone who are in touch with the students constantly and who have received visa acceptance constantly. My counselor received 2 or 3 visas within the week I received mine. So I know
Wow.
there's some positivity going on there. And she has, if she is receiving 4 visa approvals within a week, then she must be going through this every day and every week. So I think going with a counselor is very important. It took a big chunk of headache from me, and it will do the same for you.
Oh wow, great, great, great. Okay, so to end this interview with last two, three question and on a happy note, what are the plans abroad like? What about food and Indian food must be the thing that you will miss there. So what about pizza, pasta? What are the plans ahead then?
The main reason I chose Italy is because I love Italian pasta and pizza. So I don't think I'll be missing Indian food that much. But yeah, maybe if I will, I'll just go to an Indian restaurant or something. But I knew I chose Italy because of obviously because of their pizza and this pasta thing.
Okay, people have reasons of their own. I have a reason, maybe of
Yeah.
education, maybe of the course I'm going for, or maybe of the country itself. But sitting with me is a unique person today. Food is one of the major reasons. Well, don't worry, you have many
Yes.
other people standing with you too. I can't say right now, but yes, there are many people who would really consider Italian food as one of the options when thinking of going abroad. Okay, so to end this question part and this interview, the last question would be: how was your overall experience with Eurodreams and your overall process? Not just with Eurodreams, but in general, आपका overall experience of throughout the process कैसा रहा?
Throughout the process, it went very smooth. I really didn't have to go back and forth with my counselor. Okay, what is going on? What is going on? They are very informative and they are very hands-on. So even if something goes wrong or if something is taking time, they would inform out of their like on their own that okay, this process is taking longer than expected. You'll have to wait 1 more week, or this process takes 15 to 10 days. They used to inform on their own. I really never had to contact them that, okay, what is going on with my application, what is going on with my documentation for anything. So my process went way smoother, being very honest, my process went way smoother than I expected.
Okay, so you feel that luck is also a factor in that?
I would say like it's a factor because my counselor made a lot of efforts and I made a lot of efforts into it. So I don't think luck is a factor at all.
Wow, wow. It was just a fun question, to be honest, nothing much. Oh, okay, okay. The very last question to a future aspirant like me. For an example, if I want to go abroad, what are the tips or the final words that you would say me to end this interview?
I would say do your research accordingly about the kind of university you want to go for, the kind of courses you want to go for, and have a good, thorough discussion with your counselor. Go with a consultancy first of all, and I would prefer Eurodreams if you are going for it. And go with Eurodreams and have a good conversation with your counselor beforehand. That what is your educational background, what you're doing currently, and what kind of university they suggest, and what you want.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was so kind of you to speak those words. Okay, so to our audience, I guess this much only. बहुत सारी इनसे बातें करी है, बहुत कुछ जाना है इनकी प्रोफाइल के बारे में. वैसे ही बहुत सारे इंटरव्यूज आपके लिए और आने वाले हैं. So yes, a very big thanks to you, Sarah, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so to our audience, this much only for this interview. Many more to come. So stay tuned and yes, thanks for watching.